Howdy y'all, Los here. Welcome to another episode of Bonsai-YEAH. This week we've got a special bonsai tour from our friend Roland, the president of Austin Bonsai Society. So we're gonna check out his garden, we're gonna ask him some questions, and just get to know our friend Roland Lopez. Check out this garden. Let's go. Hey, we are in the first step, the boudoir, the bonsai studio here. This is Roland, the president of Austin Bonsai Society, and former president Brandon Baldoff right over here. Hawkeye Bonsai. You guys will remember him from the Ebihara episode that we just put out. Well, we're here in your studio. He's working on a little bit of a cedar elm, getting it started, doing some pruning. And what do you have in here? What is this?
So this is just, we just had a freeze last night. I think we'll have one today too. So I bring in all my I can't fit on all my trees, but I bring in everything that's very precious to me or just can't handle it. So today you'll probably notice there's gonna be a lot of trees on the ground. I usually don't have them in that position, but it's just so that the warmth from the earth can keep those roots nice and warm, and they won't get too cold and perish or get damaged. So
We don't want them to freeze.
yeah, and I'd love to have y'all back in the spring when things are back on the tables, and but yeah, that's a little explanation. I got some bonsai here, and then another reason that some trees are in here is because I worked on them late in the season, and it's totally okay to do, but if you do that, you do want to provide protection for them in the winter. The next spring they can just whoop, they're ready to go. So
If plants can talk, man. If plants can talk. Let's check out some outside.
How dare you?
Well, you got some seedlings. You got some elm seedlings, it looks like.
Yes, yeah, these are Zelkovas. I'm a huge fan of propagation, cuttings, seedlings. I'm I'm a little better with the seedlings. I haven't got my cutting success rate that high. I'm still learning, but seedlings are cheap. It's a joy to just see them grow and mature. And I'll show you in a little bit. I have some seedlings that I started that are like the 3-year mark, and they're starting to look like something, but a lot more years, and they're gonna just be just beautiful. Maybe 5, some 10. I mean, however far I want to take them. But this is a great way to get start a collection, and I suggest to any bonsai person, if you do enjoy propagation, have trees in different stages of their journey. Make some baby trees. Get some good material that's that you collected, so you can kind of play with everything in a different stage. I'd encourage anyone to get seeds locally.
Yeah, this is holly.
Yeah, no, this is Quercus fusiformis, Texas live oak.
Oh, it's live oak. Yes,
Yes,
of course.
sir.
It looks
Yeah.
just like a holly.
Yes, you're
that
right.
leaf.
It does, and I collected these from.
So these were just
gorgeous trees.
acorns, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for free. You just pick them up off the ground.
Everywhere.
So, everyone, I recommend, I'd encourage you to explore propagation. It's a lot of fun, especially for bonsai. This is a great tip, and I learned this from Dennis Wojtyła. You do this for, look at that. That's these
Wow.
seedlings are just maybe 2 years old.
Get out.
Yeah, and you fertilize the heck out of them.
And you made yourself a sweet
A
forest
little
right off the
forest,
bat.
Yeah, but of course, you do want to apply some, I guess, design concepts, because I'm going to kind of cut this and rearrange it. You know what I mean? To make a kind
Get
of
it on a slab or something.
an intentional
organized.
design. Exactly.
Wow.
But this is just Chinese elm I got from my sister-in-law's tree, and look at that. You got a little forest going on here, like in a year or two, and I can grow this as long as I want, thicken them up. But bonsai.
Yeah, the soil level is no more than 2 inches
Yeah.
or so.
Yes. Yeah. So
that's healthy growth, man.
it's exciting.
And over here you've got a little, what are these, mugos here?
Those are Japanese black pine. Let me get out of the shadow there. Yeah, those are, my buddy gave me those, and I just kind of contorted them, twisted them. Pine are not my forte. I'm still learning about them, but I just take any advice I can get. So you definitely, straight lines in bonsai, they're not bad, but you want to give them a lot of movement, and it's just more interesting. But there are bonsai where you do make it formal uprights, very straight trees, and I've actually heard that's a very challenging design to
yeah, because you got to make it look very more natural than anything, and there's a lot. People know an upright tree. They can see that right off the bat without even having any knowledge of it. So
right.
those have to be pretty precise, I'd imagine.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly, Carlos.
Yeah, and I love these. What are they? Cotton aster? Cotton?
Yeah, you're right. Cotoneaster.
Cotoneaster.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
But I always thought it was cotton Easter. Cotton,
yeah, I used to say it like that too.
Cotton Easters. They got some cotton Easters over here.
You go to nurseries.
The colors. It was around September or so when I saw. It was probably October. I saw a bush and it had like the most vivid greens and blues on it. I was like, what the heck is that thing?
They're beautiful.
Cotton Easter. I read it. Cotton Easter. Okay, I'm gonna have to look for those things for bonsai.
I actually went to a nursery before, and I said, "Do you have any Cotoneaster?" And they kind of looked at me like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh, Cotton Easter." Oh yeah, we have some of those.
Cotton Easter. I see you got a little raft style here.
Raft style, yeah. Go ahead and pick that puppy up. Get in the sunlight.
So this is what I want to do with one of my really lanky elms. It's just a small trunk, but it's got a lot of long branches. And I thought I laid it on the side. I was like, holy Murphy, they can make a whole forest with those branches.
Oh man, yes, you could. And these are, I don't see these a whole lot in our, I guess in our local community. So when I see a raft, it is a treat. And great little story about this one. I was out collecting with Brandon that you just met a little while ago, and he pulled this. It was just imagine it's just a root with little fine hairs, root hairs on the bottom.
Oh, really?
No trunks. And he gives it to me and he goes, "Hey, see if you can root this." And I said, "Okay, and maybe we can ask Brandon later." But I think he was just messing with me. And I said, "Okay," because I'm kind of a gullible guy, you know. And I did it, and he came back a few months later, and he's like,
"Wait a minute,
what is that?" And I go, "That's the thing you told me to root." And he's like, "Whoa, it worked?" I'm like, "Yeah," and so we just kind of laugh about that now.
And man, that's great.
Thank you. Yeah, we got some work to do, but yeah, it's the beginning of what could be a beautiful tree, you know.
All right, let's move down the bench here.
Yeah.
So got some. Let's check out these junipers here.
Sure,
These are fascinating.
Thank you. Yeah.
Because it's got. I see you've got raffia working here.
Yeah. You want to? I'll turn it around for you.
Yeah. Show us where the front is on that bad boy.
So I think the front might be somewhere here.
Ooh.
Yeah, and this is a Fomina I got from pretty affordable material from Hurley's in Houston, and it's all I could afford at the time. So I got this. I wanted to do literati, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do now. Probably a little too full for a literati, but you know I'm setting the bones. Got the raffia on here, so yeah, that's where that's headed. So hopefully it'll be a really beautiful kind of like that minimalist kind of like foliage, you know, look of a bunjin. Yeah.
And so you got this as this bonsai?
No, I got it in a container, kind of like something like this. And well, I was a few years in, so I think I just was pretty aggressive with this tree, and I'm lucky it lived. But this is a Fomina juniper, so I guess that they're
Fomina juniper.
Fomina.
What is that?
Fomina, it's the type of juniper it is.
Okay.
A Fomina juniper. If you see John Naka's Goshin, it's a very famous bonsai. It's a forest. I think there's 11 trees in there or something, but those are Fomina, and they actually hurt like hell when you wire them because they can get really pokey right here.
Oh.
But you know, it reminds you you're alive and be happy.
It's a work to beautiful one.
But yeah, thank you. And this is one of my first. I don't have my first bonsai tree. Brandon was asking me that earlier. Unfortunately, it like
a procumbens?
Like a lot of people, you know. Yeah, procumbens juniper. This was the first bonsai class I took at MVP in Pflugerville, and this was what I had. So I consider this my first tree because it's one of the very first ones that's I kept alive. Yeah, thank you. And
the Deadwood going on there.
Deadwood here, yeah, adds a little bit of age. Might need to work on that a little bit, but yeah, and it's exciting just to when you can see how far you've come. I've only been doing this 4 years, not a long time, but I definitely feel that I have come some way, and I'm just starting to understand more. And you know, I'll never stop learning. So
we'll never stop.
Yeah,
learning.
So just gonna keep improving. But it's exciting because I remember I didn't know how to pick a front. I didn't know how to, you know, it was all just foreign to me, I guess. And now it's like, okay, it's starting to kind of sink in a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, I love to see this, these pro cummins being turned into bonsais. I mean, we all see these every day walking through the garden centers at Lowe's or Home Depot, and I mean, look at that. That's what you can do with those things. I like these junipers you have here. Especially that specimen you got there.
That one right there with all the deadwood there?
Yeah, so tell me about this one here.
Yeah, so this one, I nabbed this one at a convention in Houston in 2019. Very affordable material from this guy in Florida, and I think they grow these just like weeds over there. They got so much sun. Anyways, he had a whole bunch of them, and I did some work to it. We had 2 trunks. What you're seeing right here was a living trunk, and a good friend of mine gave me some advice. He's like, maybe we can just make that all interesting deadwood and keep the other side alive, and we did. So this is kind of an early iteration of this tree. Hopefully later on you'll see more of those beautiful billowy kind of pads form, and more deadwood. I like to put more deadwood along the trunk line, which is called the shari, and just make it look older. So this is another procumbens as well. Yeah,
and it's a much more mature looking one too, because it's gotten past the juvenile stage, and now we're getting more scale like foliage, which is, it shows its age. When you're like, this is a procumbens, they don't ever look like that. They just always look like they're in their immature stage.
The spiky foliage. Yeah, and honestly,
needles.
Yeah, and one thing I have heard about procumbens is that to keep them in that nice form, it's kind of like, you kind of have to accept that juvenile foliage, because once they get this ropey, beautiful foliage, maybe sometimes that means it's just out of shape a little bit, but I don't know. So, but that's just what I've heard.
So they're saying this is not good for procumbens.
Well, not good, but I just think that they just mound so quickly, and you can lose your shape. Because this is one of those trees, I believe, where if you're one of those people that likes to really work on the trees a lot, this is a great tree, because you got to keep up with it throughout the year to keep its shape,
Wow, okay.
Because they just grow it fast and healthy, which is fun.
What a beautiful tree.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Wow,
yeah.
And this deadwood. So we're here still in the yamadori section, and I see you've got some more elms here. Oh, sorry about that. I took one of the leaves off, man. I'm so sorry. I think that was structural.
How dare you?
But yeah, these are all things you pulled out of the wild. Something that we're going to be doing here pretty soon.
Oh yeah. Yes.
I'm excited to join y'all for that, by the way. That's going to be incredible.
I hope you do.
But I mean, look at this giant. What is that? That's a holly, right?
A ligustrum.
Yeah.
I think
ligustrum.
A Japanese ligustrum, I believe.
I mean, it looks like someone was like, "Hey, I have a hedge and I don't want it anymore."
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to be the story with a lot of these. Not a lot of them, but usually the shrubs. Yeah, that was a buddy of mine, and he's like, "Hey, can you help me take them out? I'll give you one." It's like, okay, cool. And then the rest of these are more of like a hunting pursuit. We try to, if we know someone that has some land, or just things like that, we go out there and just look for these wild just trees. I mean, you can tell why, right? I mean, look how just the bark and the age, and I can't grow that in a pot in like 5 years.
No, and I mean, when you have lichen being built up on the trunk like that, that is something, man. Like,
it's they just, you could just tell they've been out there, and there's just, I mean, the more beat up they are, the better. But yeah, and there's some parts we were fortunate to find some land that they just have a little section of their land, and the trees are just dwarfed for some reason. Usually it could be cattle, it could just be just soil. I mean, but when you find those trees, and if you're a guy out there looking for bonsai, you just see it and you're like, I want to cultivate that, take it out. A wonderful way that I think about it now, and I learned this from Chuck Ware. He's a Texas bonsai artist, nurseryman. He said, don't rush to a pot. He said, like, get the tree done, and he's like, think of it like a painting. Like, once you have a beautiful painting, when it's done,
you get the frame.
The beautiful frame. So that you think about the bonsai container like that. And that's just one approach. I'm not saying that's the way you have to do it, but I like that.
This little area here, where you've got some zelkovas in the ground.
Yes. Those are more Zelkova serratas. These are what those babies you saw earlier will hopefully be.
Yeah, when you put these in the ground, they were like little whips like this, right?
Yes, they were very small. When I moved here, I dug out the hole. I just kind of dug out a whole little trench, amended it with just a bunch of nutrient-rich amendments, and fertilize them. They get the sun. And that's exactly why, I did it because of this, I want this trunk caliper to, look at that, and that's something that growing in the ground will give you. There is pros and cons to growing in the ground. Pro, you get a real chunky tree in a couple years. Con, you can't, they're a little harder to control because they just have so much at their disposal, they got all the water they need, the warmth, the nutrients, but I'm like I said earlier, I like to do everything at once. So I'm trying this approach. I also want to grow trees in a pot for 20 years, and see how that looks. So
yeah, and this approach right here is you're testing. I love that idea. You're doing a bunch of other projects. I think we're all into that. We have tons of different projects going on at once. I mean, this is a 4-year project right now. And I think it's turning out really great. And it's funny that you grow all this in all this space for something that you'll probably cut down, like down to here, something in the long run, But it's super cool to see this and inspiring. I mean, we've all got that little land, and all you have here is a little 3x8.
Yep.
It's all you need, man, to get this started. And he's got it under. It's not just going straight down. You got tiles under each of these, so that it produces a radial root pattern, as we love and want in bonsai. So that's going to make that pulling out process much easier and repotting much easier too. The taproot's not going to be something that's going to kill this tree when we remove it.
And then just get a shot of these. They're kind of, but earlier I was telling you, I think that's Zelkova, very very serrated, kind of pointy there at the end.
Yeah, it has much more of a teardrop in there.
Yeah, I love these. I love these so much. I don't know why.
So we're quite familiar with greenhouses on the channel, at least with these green greenhouses, these plastic ones, which in the long run may not live very long, but if you're able to modify them in a way, you can get them to live a little longer.
You're right. Yeah.
But in here, what is this? Your cold box, right? This is just for things you don't want the wind to be killing.
Exactly. Yeah. I do have some tropicals in my collection. So though they thrive in the tropical kind of environment. So got the humidity in here, and that's why I always, when I can, I try to have as many plants in here as I can because that helps with the humidity. Another great thing about greenhouses for the bonsai enthusiast is that I kind of think of it as like a triage unit. If I have a tree that I dug up with not a lot of roots, or a tree that's just not doing good, I put it in here, and that humidity will just kind of aid it in its recovery.
Absolutely.
So that's another reason. And then to house things that.
I'm surprised to see things like the Caliandra in here. Like after that freeze, did you leave them out in the greenhouse?
That one, yeah. Well, no, it's usually out here, but it's just starting to get colder, so I put it in here because I know after we get below a certain temperature, those don't do so well, to my knowledge. I could be wrong, but it's funny, once you put things in here, they just explode, man. You start seeing flowers, and they're just so happy now.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, these greenhouses are super affordable.
They are.
You have to take some caution in making sure they're weighed down, tying them down, getting some sandbags or whatever. But this will change your green thumb. It'll make it even more greener.
Yes, yes.
I tell you, the greenhouse that I got just changed the way I garden in general. I love tropical bonsai. It's one of my favorites, and I have more tropicals than I have anything.
Love that.
So greenhouse is essential for that.
Yes, yes.
And so much that we're gonna have 3 at our homestead.
Oh wow!
We're gonna have a nice polycarbonate one, and then there's gonna be 2 of these styles here.
Wonderful.
I'm gonna have an actual one that's needs to be built, which we're gonna build real soon on the show. That's great. That's really cool. And yeah, one of my favorite ones I see right off the bat is this Caliandra. It's one of my favorites. It's not the same Caliandra that I have. It's got the same type of leaf pattern. Sometimes you'll find that they're more compact leaves like this for the Calliandras, but these are great. Mimosas in the mimosa family.
And got jades, boogies, yeah.
The boogie boogies.
Premna.
Yeah,
I gotta put your viewers on these Premnas. These are so cool. You'll love them, man. I gotta make you some cuttings, but these are wonderful bonsai. Mike Lane, an artist in Florida, really got me into these, and these ramify so amazing. And the leaves are rubbery. I don't know why. I just
like
love
super
feeling
waxy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
They're very cool. So Premnas.
These don't freeze very easily, do they?
Well, yeah, they do. That's what, you know, I'm pretty much going to be in the greenhouse all year long. I think they're maybe Thailand. I could be wrong, but yeah, they're wonderful trees.
You got a little bottle brush here.
Bottle brush, yeah. Yes, bottle brush. That's a nursery find. A lot of my things in my collection are nursery finds too.
So cool.
Not just collected.
It's weird. Whenever you see these in the nurseries, you don't see them quite nice like this. So it's cool. You got a nice specimen, almost specimen. You know.
Yeah, you got
some work there.
Yeah, you got to get down on your knees at the nursery and dig in there. I believe it's a European olive. I'm not sure, but this guy came from California. From a gentleman that
This trunk brand. This has to be one of your oldest trees you have in the garden.
It might be.
By far.
Yeah, there's a gentleman in California that collects these, and he's got a whole bunch. And believe it or not, that side over here, I carved it. So let's get a shot of that. So you can see it. It's a little heavy. This was just a flat cut. When he collected it, he had a chainsaw or something. So I put in all those, all that. Yeah, it was just a flat cut, just boring, and I did all that with some power tools.
It looks very natural.
Yeah, thank you. It was honestly, that was one of my first times I've done it, so I have a lot to learn. But I was very happy with it. It looks so
good. It looks so natural. It almost looks fake. Right? Because like you're like, man, it looks really good. Like you go to Disneyland and they have like carved rocks. You're like, damn, that looks really good. But then you kind of know it's. I don't know if you kind of know it's fake, but like. It looks so good.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
I don't want that to sound like an insult at
all.
No,
not at all. No, I appreciate it.
It started getting into that point. I was like, all right, let's reel it back, Los.
Get out, just get out right now.
How dare you, sir? That's great.
Thank you so much. It was hopefully I'll get better at this. Deadwood's a lot of fun.
This is a pretty funny looking branch. That's not going in the show, but that's got a couple balls on it.
I've never seen that. It's staying.
That's the new feature of this tree.
That's the focal point.
You said this is from European, and I see why it's from European.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
How cool is this tree? So this has got to be like 100+ years old.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think you're right though. It's old. Yeah.
Well, it's reminiscent of like Summer's tree that she had at the show.
Yes.
And she said it was pushing 300 or something. And
oh
I believe
gosh.
it. Like you don't get this kind of gnarliness easily and quickly. So it's got to be, let's say, at least 50 years old.
Yeah, at least. That's a great tool. That's a great arsenal in one practitioner's toolbox. Is to carve, because when you get trees in the wild or wherever from, they're just going to have these just flat cuts. And if you know how to carve, that's just a great tool to have, because you can just disguise that and make it even more beautiful. More boxwoods. This is one of my first ones. He needs a bonsai pot because
that's ready. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah, I know it's not super like, oh my gosh, but it's very sentimental to me, and yeah, he needs a bonsai pot. He's just grown in granite, so you can grow
just in granite.
You can grow trees in anything.
You just have to make sure you feed it. So how often do you think you're feeding something like that?
My schedule kind of looks like once a week fish fertilizer, and it's real stinky. But like I said, I used to be a fisherman, so that smell kind of just reminds
home, baby.
It does kind
of like, oh yes. Yeah, so you got into bonsai besides bass fishing, so like you get to you're getting back into it. You're like, oh, I'm still bass fishing, baby.
Exactly.
I'm
yeah.
Still got it.
And
that's great.
When I tell people that, they're like, you're gross. But honestly, I'm like, I do not mind the smell. It reminds me of that. Just being on the water and having, when you caught a bluegill or a bass, you can kind of smell those, you know?
So are you fertilizing anything now? I guess you're stopped fertilizing everything?
Yeah, for now, yeah, because it's kind of like, well, they're kind of dormant now. It's just a waste of fertilizer at this point. But
yeah, they're not eating.
Yeah.
All right, and then finally you've got
Zelkovas. These
more
are
Zelkovas.
So these are probably, and I'm bad. I should document this more, but these are probably 2 or 3 year mark. So those babies, imagine they'll be this in a few years.
Are these actually from your seedlings?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so another part of the evolution from seedlings. So we saw the forest. So that's the second step. Then you had your third step was oh yeah.
Right here, yeah, all these like solitary.
So this is third step here before you get them. I guess that's sort of the third step too, right?
Yeah.
Just a different type of tree.
Yeah. Here, let me show you something real cool. And sometimes when you have so many trees, you kind of like, you're just watering them, and but then once in a while, you'll just step back and look, and you're like, holy moly, like there's a hill. If I wanted to, you lop this off, lop here, and I got kind of a little broom,
Yep.
a little broom, So, and it's just so fun. It's just crazy, and it just get better from there.
And you see, he's also got this another kind of air pruning pot. This prevents. I mean, I don't know how much it prevents it from rolling. I'm sure if it starts working its way, it'll happen, right?
I think eventually, but yeah, they're great if you keep transitioning them to a bigger pot. Yeah, but the root maker pots are wonderful.
Do you like these or the air pruning pots better?
I don't have enough results to know yet, but I did try both. But I imagine those would be better because look at all the air going to the roots.
Exactly. I just by seeing them, I think those will work better because this gives them a chance. Oh wait, I didn't notice that.
What's that?
So even the inside has these little ridges so that they're forced to move down. So even if they do start rolling around the pot, they'll run into one of those and it forces them right out of a hole.
Air pruned, yeah.
So geez,
yes, those are great. These
seem like they'll both do the trick pretty well.
Yes, yeah, and
the little gall.
And they're just they're fantastic.
Oh, great. Okay, so that's great. So I would like to see the results from both of these because I think they would do the same thing, but there's more holes in that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Cool.
That could be a fun a little short,
And I think all of us want to know that we go, okay, what kind of pots do we want? So air pot versus root pot.
Right.
So let's find out.
Let's do it.
And
yeah.
Roland is already. The scientific experiment is happening as we speak. So we'll be back with those results real soon.
I did not carve that. Can't take credit for that. The artist I bought it from did that, but I did the wiring.
God, that looks like that like lava stone in a way,
Yeah. Isn't that cool? Yeah, it's beautiful. Did that. So these will get ramified and they'll be more uniform in the future.
All right, that's it. Thanks, Roland.
Of course.
What a beautiful garden.
Yeah,
fun. It's so great, inspiring. It inspired me to do a lot more and collect more things. So that's what I'm going to take out of this. Awesome. I'm going to be more yamadori from now on. So be more yamadori. So thank you guys once again. If you guys like our content, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon. In the meantime, be cool, stay hip, and get yourself a hobby. Bye.